Welcome to the Take 5 podcast. Once again, it's Nick Grohl here. Around the table, we've got Terrence Sherwood to my left.
Yo.
Next to him is Corey Williams.
Hey.
Next to him is Isaac.
Hello.
Next to him, also mimicking me in his best mime impersonation, which really is like a 3 out of 10, is Tommy Williamson.
At least a 9 out of 10, Nick.
And then our guest for the panel today is our good friend Rowdy Peacock.
Hey, you might know me as that guy who comments on the YouTube channel.
For once in a while.
We actually got him here.
We got him here.
We got our
He made
fan
it.
here.
If you comment on our YouTube channel, we will invite you on the show.
I called into a radio station and won a ticket.
Which one of you is selling tickets to this? I want to get in on that action.
Right.
He thought he was winning a Super Bowl
Somebody's
ticket.
banking on money right now. All right, well, first up, we're going to do a quick weekend roundup at the box office. Corey has the numbers for American Sniper, which is once again dominating at the theaters. It's apparently set a Super Bowl weekend record. Is that correct?
I think it made $38.1 million.
Which is because last week it made $60 million around there, so it's only like a 50% drop off, which is kind of ridiculous.
I'm the only person who hasn't seen the movie.
I haven't seen it yet,
at least
but
the South.
Oh, okay.
At this point,
Yes.
we have to. Then you have to kind of go like, well, then really, can you say that movies like Mordecai and Project Almanac flop, or they just got put in a bad situation?
They just couldn't stand up to American Sniper.
Yeah, I guess not.
Well, it's like, movies being released in January, February anyway are already...
They're dumb. It's
a
dump month.
Yeah, so it's... People don't go to the movies in January, February because there's the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. There's all sorts of other things.
Lots of free entertainment that they're already paying for on cable TV.
So I'm calling it. Next year, every Oscar bait movie is a select release. Pretty much like this year. But they're all going to pull an American Sniper, and the day after nominations, they go national release. They're just hoping to strike this gold again. Like, nomination on Sunday, released nationally Friday. And that's going to be the new thing, I think.
I think it's just been so successful because, you have the Oscar news that's like, oh, it got nominated, we should go watch it. But then you've got the people that are like, oh, it's made by Clint Eastwood, we should go see that. And then you have all the other people in the middle America that are like, it's America, you don't go watch it, you're not American.
And Bradley Cooper's so handsome.
Right.
His book.
Bradley Cooper wrote a book?
No. Kyle.
Chris Kyle.
Chris Kyle.
I read the book. I haven't seen the movie.
And the book sold nationally very well, too, so it's not surprising that any fan of the book.
Well, I heard the ending's kind of a little downer.
Yeah, it's a bit of... It's anticlimactic. I'm not going to spoil it, but it's an anticlimactic ending for such a dude.
Right.
For such a death machine, I guess.
What I'm interested to see is that if this will carry over into how people vote at the Oscars.
I hope so. I kind of hope so. Part of me feels like the Oscars are going to, make sure it doesn't win now.
They're like, no, it's made more than $10 million, so we have to neglect it.
Yeah.
That Gravity movie almost won everything. We can't let that happen again. Gosh. But anyway, moving on to some more, some bigger news. This past week, the bomb of news that dropped on the world was that Ghostbusters is continuing on without Bill Murray, without Dan Aykroyd, without Harold Ramis, may he rest in peace. And then instead of recasting it, yes.
You're forgetting someone.
Who am I forgetting?
Ernie Hudson.
Oh, yes.
Come on, Nick.
So
You racist.
He carried the entire team.
That's Tommy saying it.
But anyway, rather than recasting with some younger actors, they have decided to go with a all-female cast for Ghostbusters.
People should know their role.
Wow.
Right off the bat.
And our demographic is just barreling down.
Our two female viewers have just turned it off.
No. That guy.
Okay, anyways.
It's...
Let me just give you the rundown real quick of the 4 women that have been cast.
Wait, you're going to bring up The Rock now?
No.
The rundown.
No. We have the lady of the moment, or the lady that we wish would all go away, Melissa McCarthy. We have Kristen Wiig from SNL fame, but also we have 2 other up-and-comers from SNL that are going to be in the movie. They are Leslie Jones and Kate McKinnon, who are part of SNL right now. And so, what are the thoughts? So
people still watch SNL?
some people.
I feel like
Landry.
There's a reason it's cast this way. I mean, primarily, Bill Murray rejected the original script he was given. He just said it just was not that good. Also, he said he didn't really have as much fun on the second movie, so he didn't see a reason to make a third.
The better movie, by the way.
The better movie.
Number 2.
Wow.
Also, it feels like Hollywood's really still trying to ride that hype for Bridesmaids, where Melissa McCarthy and Kristen Wiig were both real big in that movie.
Right.
Well, Melissa McCarthy was real big anyway.
But it seems like
it's evolving quickly.
And it's okay because Tommy's got a weight problem, so like it's okay. It's all right.
I don't know. Even if they had gotten the 3 original cast members minus Harold Ramis, I'd still be kind of
iffy on it.
But I don't know if they're going to do like a whole new origin kind of thing on it.
It's apparently a full reboot.
It's a full reboot.
Nothing from the last 2 movies carries over.
Okay, because I didn't know if it was going to be like a passing of the torch situation or them stumbling upon the old equipment and what does this button do? And
I guess
hijinks ensue.
There's still time for us for that to change, I guess.
Yeah.
But at the same time, from everything I've read, it's going to be a full reboot. Nothing from the last movies count. Mm-hmm. And
whoa, they count. It's just this one doesn't count.
Are they giving it the Star Trek treatment?
It's like that. It's like that Indiana Jones fever dream we all know didn't actually happen. A couple years ago.
Oh, you mean the Adventures of Young Indiana Jones?
No. Those happened, but not. Yeah.
Oh.
Anyway, I don't talk about it. So, but
go on.
But it is like that. It's just like, there's so much time that's passed already between the originals and this one. It's better for them to do a reboot than for them to try and connect it to the older movies, because at least then you're not pissing off the older fans as much, because then they can just be like, that's not real, it doesn't exist, kind of like some people do with a certain other film franchise that has been
the Dark Knight trilogy.
No, but
no, Michael Keaton is still the Batman in my life.
Well, I highly disagree, but
He
anyway,
will always be the Birdman.
He will always be Birdman.
I'm kind of coming at it from a different angle. I kind of wish they had gone continuation route.
Yeah.
I kind of also wish that we didn't have the casting that we have.
Right, yeah.
My problem with this isn't that it's an all-female cast. I think it's a little weird that the director, like before he even wrote a script for it, said it's going to be an all-female cast, and he didn't let the story grow organically and figure out what characters.
So there is
actors.
no script at this moment for this
There
particular...
very well might be a script. I know that when he was promoting Bridesmaids, he said that he was going to write a Ghostbusters script that featured hilarious women.
Okay.
The problem is I don't think he delivered on that last part.
Women?
I don't like Melissa McCarthy. McCarthy, is it McCarthy or
McCarthy?
McCarthy. Melissa McCarthy, as much as a lot of people do. I mean, I think she has like her own brand of humor. I'm a classic comedy dude. Like I like Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin. I like slapstick humor, I guess. I don't like the lowest common denominator, just gross out, vulgar, clever string of curse words, which I think she's kind of riding on type thing. My thing is, I mean, honestly, I don't have a huge opinion on the 2 unknowns, I guess, like the 2 SNL cast ladies. I just think Kristen Wiig and Melissa McCarthy are both better in dramatic roles.
Because Melissa McCarthy, she's on what's the name of the TV show?
Mike and
Molly, and she plays just a regular person. She's not playing this over the top character that you're talking about, Corey. And my thoughts are like, are they gonna go for the cliche thing where they're gonna be like, all right, you're the crazy one, you're this one, you're that one, or are they gonna actually have characters like the original Ghostbusters did, where it's because you had Bill Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, and all
the
them.
entire movie's recast.
Yeah.
Ernie
Pickles.
Hudson. You can
Ernie
say
Hudson.
his name, Nick. Jeez.
Sorry, I don't remember.
Winston Zedmore.
The token black guy, okay? How about that? Does that work for you?
No, it doesn't.
Good. Well, it's going to work anyway. So
And you're all forgetting Rick Moranis.
and Rick
No,
Moranis,
it doesn't
who
count.
retired to take care of his family. So there.
Yeah.
He wasn't a
Stand-up
Ghostbuster
dude.
until the second one.
Well, the better one. So we're good. Yeah, but my thing is like Melissa McCarthy. She just did that St. Vincent movie. I've seen pieces of it. And she was on the Gilmore Girls way back in the day.
She was.
Yeah. And she's a good dramatic actress.
Exploding.
I don't necessarily enjoy I don't enjoy actors when they get to this part where they pretty much just make the same movie over and over again. I think that's where she's at. Identity theft.
So wait, are we saying that Melissa McCarthy is the female Adam Sandler?
Yes.
Kind of.
Yeah.
She's getting close to parodying herself. She's about to be like Larry the Cable Guy of women.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's just gonna be the same character in everything.
Right.
And
I mean, look at
and she's talented. I
Right,
want to go on record saying
look at
she's
Zach
talented.
Galifianakis. We all thought he could have possibly fallen into that playing the same character over again.
Yeah.
But we just watched him in Birdman, and he
Excellent
different
job.
person.
and it was he was funny, but
Great.
it was a more serious kind of funny. He was playing a person rather than a character, I guess you could say, and he playing the manager of Michael Keaton's actor of the movie, and then.
Well, I read somewhere that Ed Norton and Michael Keaton kept a count on how many people would mess up lines, and Zach Galifianakis actually didn't mess up nearly as much as anyone else.
Wow.
Huh.
He's just one of those people. If you've seen his stand-up, you can tell he's one of those very intelligent types, and his humor, especially on his stand-ups, you're like, oh wow, okay. It's kind of when you think about people like Louis C.K. and people like that.
Well, I think we can really just blame the Hangover sequels for that, because Hangover, that's when he first got this wide recognition of being an actor, and his character in that was so silly, it was very much.
And he made Due Date around the same
Yeah.
time, which
Yeah.
is the same character and stuff like that.
But then
there was that movie around the same time that flew under the radar called "It's Kind of a Funny Story."
Yeah.
Fan-freaking-tastic. Zach Galifianakis. He will tug at your heartstrings in this on a very, very, he just acts the crap out of that movie.
Yeah.
So let me pose this to the round table. If we were to recast a new Ghostbusters movie, would everyone be okay with Zach Galifianakis being on the team?
I would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be okay with it.
Because when this whole new Ghostbusters film was being considered, the rumors kept circling, and it was, okay, well, they're going to bring in some new guys, or they're going to bring in the old guys and some new guys, and kind of a passing of the torch, kind of like they're doing with the Star Wars movie. And then it slowly, and then out of nowhere, was like, okay, we're just going to go with girls. And I know that Taryn had kind of just started a discussion on Facebook, and once again kind of got into a heated argument.
Well, no, this one was actually our share group where we
that's right.
throw the
Maybe
ideas
like
around.
a new thing where you just start something throughout the week and we cover it on the podcast.
Taryn, I just think
I think people are just abrasive to my opinions.
I just think it's best if you don't have an opinion. Taryn.
Yeah, your opinions are invalid. So
you just keep your opinions in the podcast, and then where no one can yell at you.
Okay, when I edit this tonight, I'm editing it to where it's just me. So,
Okay.
To me, this sequel. Now, have we told Corey and Taryn the horrible, horrible secret I have?
No.
You haven't seen Ghostbusters 1 or 2, have you?
No.
Oh my god.
But I want to say this sequel comes off, to me, it looks like just a desperate attempt to make money with no real effort put into it.
well, that's what reboots have become.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's definitely what it is.
in a perfect world, this movie wouldn't exist, not because of any of its casting choices, not because of, whether or not the original cast was going to come back, but because
we'd be getting Ghostbusters 19.
Yeah.
the first two movies stand well on their own.
Yeah.
They're a good story that should just be encased in of itself and looked back on with fondness. But Hollywood is, like you said, it's like they're in the business of making money, not preserving our childhood dreams.
Yeah.
So they're
I agree.
gonna do whatever they can to make buck and cash in on all of our nostalgia. And I think it's gonna be one of those things of, if we get closer to this release date of Ghostbusters, and it's just going to be like all what we're kind of fearing it's going to end up being, I think the best thing for us to do would just be to sort of vote with our checkbook in a sense of just not going and seeing it.
Who uses a checkbook?
Because here's the thing.
It's a term.
Here's the thing. You know, I know that, like, especially on your conversation you had on Facebook, the discussion was that we are just upset because it's 4 women that are being casted instead of men. And, I mean, I think, yeah, there's that initial kind of shock. I mean, if you were all being honest, it's like, wait, the Ghostbusters are guys and they're not women. And, you know, we're all about, it's not like we're like women can't do stuff, you know, but...
Why can't they just make their own? Like, they got Laura Croft to be Indiana Jones for women. Just make your own ghost fighting team.
And I think the point, like, that Taryn had brought up earlier was if the story has been set up and it's like, okay, well, we want to go in this direction, we're going to write the script, and we're going to do it this way, and it's not just coming from, why don't we just throw women in there, we'll see what happens, you know, kind of thing.
Because, I mean, that's what it feels to me like this is a gimmick. It feels like, let's make female Ghostbusters instead of Ghostbusters that happens to feature women.
Because we're very much in
like Extreme Ghostbusters.
Because we're very much in a time right now, just in America and the world, where women are, you know, the feminist movement is very much at the forefront. You know, you see Emma Watson giving speeches and stuff like that, and there's a lot of movements like the Free the Nipple movement and things like that. So
what's the Free the Nipple movement?
I don't know. It's like something where they want to be able to walk around shirtless, I think.
I fully support the Free the Nipple movement.
Which, it's like...
Go feminism,
Tom, I think you support it for all the reasons they don't want you to support it. But okay.
But like, it does seem kind of odd that this casting news comes out a very short time after Emma Watson had presented a very big he for she speech. And was it in Hollywood she gave?
Yeah, I think so.
I can't remember. But it was like not long after that, big announcement, all-female cast of Ghostbusters. I didn't know if they were just trying to...
ride that train.
Ride that.
Then put Emma Watson in it.
You know what? I would be for that.
Yeah. And that's my thing. I've made a bunch of sexist jokes, but I want to go on record as saying, like, I have no problem with it being an all-female cast. I'm with Taryn. I would be more happy to figure out that that's where the script went, rather than just doing the gimmick of... I want to be Ghostbusters, I want to be all-female, because I made Bridesmaid. I made Bridesmaids and Kristen Wiig and McCartney. I just want to give them more work. McCarthy. I want to give them more work. But because my biggest point is I think that I've seen Melissa McCarthy be great outside of just playing these kind of stupid roles. And I've seen Kristen Wiig be fantastic outside of just being SNL cast-offs, essentially. I could see both of them winning Oscars if they committed to doing
other work
outside of just like not that like they can't do this every now and then because it's their roots, but this is all they're doing almost. It's because you have Melissa McCarthy also doing this spy, lowest common denominator crap movie, and
that movie she did with Sandra Bullock,
the Heat.
The Heat. It's that same stuff over and over again. I'd like to see them kind of concentrate on doing more.
Because we know they can.
Yeah, because they're fantastic.
It's going to be Ghostbusters with a bunch of pee and fart jokes, but done by a girl. Is the shock of it. Do you think some of this might just be the fact that most fans of comic books and movies, we aren't real big on changing things? I remember it became big news when... Peter Parker was going to be replaced by a Hispanic boy,
Miles Morales,
to become Spider-Man.
Black Hispanic mix.
Things like that always causes big news when Justice League characters.
I'm sorry, Corey's foot is like keeping me a length from the table. So,
Justice League characters.
Cyborg being added to the Justice League was the biggest mistake DC has ever done.
Well, I mean, but
somehow we've turned this into comics.
Here we go.
Where different superhero changes like race or gender, like there's
or sexuality.
There's female Thor.
Yeah, but even outside of comics, it's like the new Star Wars movie. There's a black stormtrooper. A lot of people were upset about that.
I'm all for that.
I didn't see the big deal.
We had to explain to Tommy in length that yes, the possibility exists that there would be multiracial stormtroopers.
No,
allow me to put on my nerd glasses for a second. Hold on.
Rowdy's actually
after the Empire was actually established, they stopped using clones, and it's actually covered in Star Wars Rebels.
It's the Battle of Camino. Right?
The Battle of Camino. They stopped using. If you played Battlefront. They stopped using clones and actually had to start recruiting stormtroopers.
Stormtroopers and Boba Fett went and wiped out the clones. This is knowledge.
Just hear me out with this. The only black person in all of Star Wars was Lando.
Mace Windu.
Mace Windu.
Okay, yeah, that's in the prequels, but
yes,
this is set after the prequels.
It's Samuel L. Jackson.
So you're saying in a galaxy far, far away, there's not black people?
Just Lando Calrissian. Think about
it. Is that the argument?
I'm not sure what the argument is.
I don't know.
There's green people, there's blue people, but
what's the likelihood of another black person in Star Wars?
Maybe it is Lando.
If it's Lando's son, then I'm all for it.
Oh my god!
I want to say
this is going off in a really different direction.
I want to go back to Ghostbusters.
I'm trying. I'm really trying here.
I'm really glad he brought up the comics though, because in the same way, this is kind of what I was trying to touch on with the Indiana Jones thing. Is that there's a female Thor, there's a female Hulk, there's a female Spider-Man, there's a female Supergirl, and they're all giant wastes of time because they're just gimmicked out. They just said, we got to give girls these versions. But then again, there's things like Elektra and
Wonder Woman.
And Wonder Woman. There's these other... They just made it themselves. And they're fantastic because they're girls with an identity and a backstory rather than just saying, here, put on this dude's gimmick.
Yeah.
So, I think that's another reason why this just feels kind of funny. It's just it's established, but now they're just throwing females in it and just giving them this thing created by these other dudes. So again, I'm not. It sounds all sexist. I just think it just feels weird. It feels gimmicked out real bad. I know my personal another huge personal thing I have with it is I'm kind of with Taryn. I'd rather it have been a continuation, but I'm also with Rowdy. I would have rather it been a Pass the Torch movie, rather than seeing Bill Murray and Ernie Hudson and Dan Aykroyd trying to play these parts in their 60s and late 50s or whatever. I would have rather seen it been a Passing the Torch movie.
Yeah.
And even if it was passing to females, I mean, that'd been a harder script to write, maybe. But I think it's just because comedy is evolved so much towards Bill Murray. He's notorious for being an improv actor and comedian, and it's just real jokes, real funny. You can even see that just if you watch the evolution of SNL back at a time where people actually had to be funny on camera to where now it's just
cough, Kenan Thompson cough.
Yeah, now it's just let's push envelopes. Let's just it's shock value comedy, and I personally don't like it.
Yeah.
So I hate seeing Ghostbusters maybe being in danger of that, just to being this female hangover movie, rather than it being genuinely let's write jokes and an entertaining story, not just let's put women in tan suits, give them things, and make a bunch of really gross jokes about tampons or whatever envelope pushing thing we can do with a bunch of females.
Because if you're going to make Ghostbusters and you're going to cast all females, it shouldn't be you should try to stay away from the gimmick idea. You should try to do like the originals did, where it's not these over the top characters. It's human, very realized characters that have been written in a script. It's not, we're going to make them eat something and they're all throwing up in the sink or something, And
the thing is, we are at the point where we have to admittingly say we don't know the script, and who's to say that Bill Murray can't be a cameo in this, and one of them might be related, and they might somehow make it a Passing the Torch, and it might work.
One of them be Bill Murray's niece or something like that.
And that would work. That'd be fine. Again, I'm still kind of just iffy with. I'd like to see Kristen Wiig and McCarthy kind of break out of this just the comedy, I gotta make people laugh thing and do things, which Wig's doing.
And because there's the potential for them to actually treat it like that kind of comedy as opposed to the comedy we're used to. But look at the pros of them casting a younger cast. We've seen the mistake in another franchise that we all hold dear to our hearts, where they held on to the original guy. And
Star Wars 7?
No, one involving
You keep bringing up this movie that was never released.
I know it was a terrible nightmare and it'll never go away. But, but they held on to the same actors, and it just felt like it was almost like Space Cowboys or something, where it's like all these old dudes doing what.
Okay, Space Cowboys is a good film.
Space Cowboys was great,
but anyway. But it's like we're hanging on to these people because it's just let's let some new people in, make it fresh. So there is the plus on that, and so it's introducing it to a new generation. It's hard, down the road to be like your nephew or your kid, if you have one, and be like, watch this movie that I enjoyed as a kid. Because the honest truth is that what we find funny and what we find cool, they will be very hard for them to find funny as well.
Yeah.
I think the best route for this Ghostbusters movie to take is look at what 21 Jump Street did.
And I hate it. I hate it. You're bringing up my worst fears. It was a great show, and then they just trashed it with just the lowest common denominator of bullcrap.
But, Corey, that's a 1-to-6 ratio. That's a good ratio to have.
I don't want Ghostbusters to be 21 Jump Street.
Isaac. That I think, the root of a lot of the problems with how a lot of our media and things we try to hold on to, like comic books and movies and stuff, is they were all made back when your hero was like a white straight male. Okay. And so now that you try to change some of them into like the black guy or the girl, or maybe he's gay or something like that, it's really a shocker, and it's like, no, don't mess with that. But they all pretty much used to be that same thing. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it makes sense that Hollywood and comic book industry is trying to break away, try to give...
Sort of equalize it all out.
Equalize it. That way, you have a wider demographic of kids that have something to look up to.
Yeah.
Another thing I just thought about was it seems reboots tend to do better if it's like they're an apology movie, making up for something terrible done before.
X-Men Days of Future Past?
Yes, and Batman Begins, having to make up for the Joel Schumacher atrocities that were Batman and Robin and...
Tommy will agree with you
Batman
on one
Forever.
of those movies.
Batman Forever was a great movie.
It was okay.
Batman Forever's a solid movie.
But did you have, the Incredible Hulk making up for...
Hulk.
Kind of making up for Ang Lee's Hulk movie.
And you have Avengers making up for the Incredible Hulk.
Right. And then you have, but you see, would this Ghostbusters reboot would it be easier to be more optimistic of it if Ghostbusters 2 happened to have been terrible?
And it
wasn't terrible. I don't know. I like hypotheticals.
Yeah. Well, I haven't said a whole lot about this, and I want to point out, I don't have a problem with it being all women.
Okay.
I don't. I don't even have a problem with the casting, other than Melissa McCarthy is kind of very much a one character person lately. My issue is, I know with their style of humor and the humor that McCarthy and Wig did in Bridesmaids. Yeah. It's very much not the same. With
the same director, correct?
Yeah.
Yes. This is one of my biggest fears. It's freaking me out.
Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2 were both PG.
Yeah.
Just think, they were PG movies.
Yeah.
And sure, 80s PG is a little
different.
Yeah, different.
PG-13ish now.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But still, that is hard R, possibly maybe PG-13.
Because it is. It's like the Star Wars. It's like Back to the Future. It's like you're going to be selling toys. You're going to be selling action figures.
Yeah.
You're gonna be selling lunch boxes and stuff like that. And that's where a lot of where we got really into Ghostbusters, because we had the cartoon show, we had the action figure. We all wanted the little car. They're still selling a Lego version of the Ghostbuster vehicle.
Yeah, we almost bought one.
Yeah, the Ecto-1.
Thank you.
It has a name.
Okay, all right.
Sorry. Y'all just kind of blew my mind from a marketing standpoint, because that's kind of what builds these movies is the merch. What do you release? Do you release dolls or action figures?
Well, that's the thing, because you think about,
because girls won't buy action figures.
Well, but if you go down that road, you say, okay, well, we're gonna Mattel's gonna come out with a Barbie version of all the Ghostbuster girls, and they're gonna have a car that they can come with and stuff. Or even if they do go that and the action figure groups as well. If you make it a hard R movie, that is a hard sell. So they're definitely going to have to. Yeah. It's definitely going to be like, look,
PG-13.
You're going to have to be PG-13 at worst. And
Barbie's not going to make a McCarthy doll.
No.
And that's saying bad about Barbie.
Right. And so, because that's a challenge that's going to come up is if they're wanting to really merchandise this and really get that female demographic, they're going to have to deal with that.
I mean, crazy.
It's one of those things like with a franchise like this, you can't market it to men or women. You have to market it to children. Mm-hmm. The children carry it. It's the children of the 80s and 90s that's allowing this reboot to even be a possibility.
Right, yeah.
Because if it was marketed to adults, like there weren't many movies that were marketed to adults back in the 80s or 90s that are getting reboots now.
I say we reboot Waterworld. I still think there's a chance that could work.
Stop.
I don't. And here's also a defense just for myself. I can't speak for anyone else. Whenever this was going around for a while, like, and they were kind of saying, yeah, it's going to be all female. Like, Sandra Bullock was rumored for it, and I was all for it.
That sounds awesome.
Actually, like that's the thing is there was like it was still McCarthy and Wig were still high on like the list, but they were saying like I think it was Sandra Bullock and Emma Stone were like in high like consideration.
Emma Stone passed. She was offered it and she passed on it.
That would have been great. I could definitely see Sandra Bullock and Emma Stone doing
because then there's a balance there
exactly.
within the group. Right now you have
a
bunch of SNL people. I don't think McCarthy was ever on SNL, but you have 3 SNL alumni or currents and 1 alumni, and then McCarthy. It's so off balance because that's the beauty of the original Ghostbusters. Murray, Ramis, Dan Aykroyd, and Hudson, they're 4 really different, even actors, and comedians. So I don't know. It's just I feel like they're taking a really iconic franchise that by all means didn't need a number 3 with the original cast.
The Ghostbusters video game that came out a few years ago was an excellent sequel.
That's what I heard. I heard that. I heard that it was a pretty good third. But I just feel like they're taking a great franchise and again, just good usage of the word, gimmicking it out, just without really benefiting anyone. Not even these actresses that are involved in it. My big thing is I'm afraid of just vulgarizing a great movie and then also kind of keeping 2 actresses that I feel like are scratching past the comedy ceiling, just coming back down. I mean, I think Wig is I think Kristen Wiig's actually doing a good job. She's been making a lot of serious dramatic roles that she's doing really well in, and then it looked like McCarthy's about to do it, and then this and the Spy movie and crap are happening. And
which one came out this year that we didn't go see?
It was
the most recent one I know of is Tammy, and then the Spy one. That Tammy came out last year,
and it made a lot of money. So,
yeah. I mean,
again, it's a business and it's a machine, and she's making money. So
I think we won't know more until we get down the road. Down the road and see a trailer. Actually, see a trailer. We'll see what direction they're really going with it.
And really, at the end of the day, it's a bunch of guys discussing a female cast, and so our opinion is going to be a little bit
skewed.
Yeah, skewed, and they're going to say, well, you're wrong because you just want all guys. And it's like, really, I think what we can all agree on is that we just want it to be a respectful continuation of the Ghostbusters franchise.
I just want it to be funny.
Yeah.
If you can do it with women, do it with women. If you can market it, like, I think it's just one of those things of, like, we're really just wanting this not to be as bad as we're all fearing it to be, and the women cast is sort of like the last note on the point of just like, we're so afraid of the humor of it, of the marketing of it, of the treatment of it, of the story. The whole women casting is sort of an afterthought at this point.
Let Ghostbusters remain a classic.
Yeah. And, but even if you look at it, I'm trying to sit here and think of like who would be casted in male leads. It would still be in danger of the vulgarity issue, because you're looking at like Sudeikis, Bateman, Steve Carell,
Will Ferrell, Jack Galifianakis.
You're looking at that's just where comedy is.
I can definitely see Bateman though in a Ghostbusters.
Bateman and Sudeikis, I think, would fit right in. But really I would still be sitting here here freaked out that it's just going to be a bunch of like masturbation jokes.
I was just about to bring that up. Horrible bosses. We hunt ghosts now.
Unfortunately, Sudeikis and Bateman would be fantastic, and then Charlie Day would be a great Rick Moranis character, just a little squirrely dude. But again,
That's it. Horrible Bosses 3 and
Plus-
Ghostbusters. It's going
Plus
to be a
Zach
crossover.
Galifianakis.
Kevin Spacey plays the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he's the voice of Slimer.
Oh, God.
Okay, yeah.
So,
'Cause
I
you can
mean-
market that to kids, yeah.
So, in my fears, it's not even the female cast. It's just modern day comedy. Ghostbusters seems such a perfect fit for the '80s and that era of comedy. It's just going to be weird working it out.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're in for a challenge more than anything, which may be good. Honestly,
What if they make it all serious?
Yeah,
It's
it's a very
just
dramatic-
gritty.
It's a dark. gritty.
well, this is a good segue
This
into
is
the
a-
Fantastic
yes.
Four trailer.
Speaking
Oh,
of dark segues, the world was shown the first footage of the Fantastic Four reboot,
and it's awful.
and
Hold on.
there's some decisive
Let's get some more
thoughts on it.
backstory
So,
into it.
it is being made by the director of Chronicle. For those of you that might remember, it had the guy that played the Green Goblin in The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
What's his name?
Exactly.
No. It's like Daniel
Dehan.
Dehan. Yeah, Dehan.
He's a good actor.
He's a
by the way.
fantastic
Yeah.
actor. I wish I'd.
But he's not in Fantastic Four. We'll just put that out there.
Just the guy who directed
Yes,
that
the
Chronicle
director,
movie. Okay.
yeah.
Dane DeHaan.
Yes. But just to give you a quick rundown, what were y'all's first thoughts on
DeHaan, do you think
My-
he has a Chewbacca with him?
Oh, God.
That was a bad joke.
The
Yeah,
director's
that one.
the director's name is Josh Trank. Okay, we all kind of know the cast, but I'll give it a quick rundown for the listeners. We have Miles Teller. You might remember him from 21 and Over or the Project X movie. He's also in.
You might remember him from everything that came out in 2014.
He's also in the Whiplash movie that's been nominated for Best Picture. You have Kate Mara, the lesser-known sister of Rooney Mara, who's in The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Okay.
She's playing the Invisible Woman.
I've seen her in a couple of other things,
You
but
might,
I can't remember
you might
what.
know Kate Mara from House of Cards.
Yes,
No, not
Okay.
that.
Okay, I know her from House of Cards.
she was also
excellent
in.
that
She was
show.
also in
Way
the
back.
Mark Wahlberg movie. I believe it was called. I think it was just Sniper. Was what it was.
Shooter.
Called. Shooter. That's what it was.
Shooter. She
Yeah.
was the babe in Shooter?
Yeah, she was the baby
Nice.
Shooter.
I'm gonna have to look
Okay.
this up.
Michael B. Jordan.
Wait,
who
that was Kate Beckinsale, wasn't it? The babe in Shooter?
no, that was her.
No.
Oh, okay.
And then Michael B. Jordan is the carryover from Chronicle. He's playing a black Human Torch, and that's again what we were talking about. An interesting casting choice. And then we have Jamie Bell playing the Thing or Ben Grimm, and I don't know who is playing Doctor Doom.
It's
Toby Kebbell. I don't know
yeah.
what he's from or anything. I haven't heard of him before. Has anybody else heard of him?
He's been in. I forget.
Let me check him out real quick. But what are y'all's initial thoughts on the trailer? Just right off the bat.
My initial thought
go
was-
that way and this way.
My initial thought was, oh, great. Another origin story on a comic book movie we've already seen.
You're not wrong.
Not
Rock and
wrong.
Rolla. He's in Rock and Rolla.
Yeah,
sorry.
Rock and Rolla.
Oh, yes, Rock and Rolla.
Sorry, I was just saying. I knew
Yes.
that Toby Kebbell was.
crap.
And it
He's
was good.
okay. He's also in Wrath of the Titans and Prince of Persia and
So
Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
He's got a sucky track record.
I remember what
Except
movie
for
I
Rock and
remember her from
Okay,
now.
what was?
It's the horrible Tim Allen superhero movie, Zoom.
Okay. Anyways, so Rowdy, you were saying it's a reboot.
Yeah, but I like these actors, though. Also, the trailer, it seemed like they're going a darker darker reboot. Just, that's trending. We saw it with Batman, had a darker,
That
more
works for
realistic.
Batman,
It
yeah.
works for great for Batman. Then Man of Steel did it,
and it didn't work.
and it didn't work as
mixed
great.
results.
Mixed results. I'm one of the people that enjoyed Man of Steel, but
You should leave.
now we're
You and Taryn.
now we're seeing
Hey,
it.
up top.
High five.
Now we're
Absolutely.
seeing it with Fantastic Four. Not sure how you just really take it dark for Fantastic Four, even as a show. It's
Yeah.
always more kind of
It was hopeful.
hopeful and upbeat kind of.
Yeah.
I see this serious trailer. I'm not sure how they're going to work in a clobbering time joke
Well,
in there anywhere.
again, but the thing about
My
you
emotions.
say hopeful. Well, the trailer, the narrator of the trailer, we weren't shown who that was, but he was talking about the next generation, and it seemed that the idea of hope was the next generation pushing us forward and stuff, and that seemed to be the theme of the trailer itself. But anyway, Tommy, comic book Enthusiast, yes.
I was not impressed by the trailer.
Okay.
Like, even taking out the fact that this is the Fantastic Four. The Fantastic Four is one of my lesser favorite of the super teams.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, Rowdy.
Sorry.
Rowdy has dropped his Altoids.
Yeah. But, removing the fact that this is a comic book movie and comic book movie about comic book characters I don't care about, the trailer itself, this is not a movie I would even care about seeing. Okay. Just because it didn't sell me on what it was doing.
Yeah.
It's like, I already know about the Fantastic Four. Anybody that has, read any comic books ever pretty much knows the story of the Fantastic Four. And they did not do the story in the trailer enough to get me interested in seeing it again.
Okay.
And I hate the casting choices. Unlike Rowdy, who likes all the actors, I either don't know who they are, don't care about who they are, or they don't fit the character they are supposed to be playing.
Okay. So is it a matter of just, when you say you don't know who they are, would you have rather had it be some, not big name, not just A-listers, but people that you've seen in movies and stuff?
I've seen, Rock and Rolla, Prince of Persia, Dawn Planet of the Apes, and I don't know who this person is.
Right.
He didn't leave a lasting impression on me, so it's not someone that I say, oh, I care about seeing this person. And that's not the big issue for me. The big issue is all of these kids playing
scientists.
Scientists.
I was going to bring that up if no one else did.
And I guess they're going to do the Ultimate Fantastic Four.
Which kind of deals with some younger Fantastic Four.
They are pretty much teenagers, and that's absolutely awful. And, I have very mixed feelings about the Ultimate Universe in general. And Ultimate Fantastic Four was one of the worst parts of it. Mm-hmm. And so I don't see how they're taking all of these bad ideas, putting them together, and hoping that this will be something that is halfway decent in a world that's oversaturated with comic book movies. And I'm the biggest comic book person in the room. I'm getting sick of all the comic book movies.
Yeah.
And this is not going to help.
Right. Okay. Isaac?
Well, I've never even really been interested in the Fantastic Four. Yeah. I just don't like them as comic book or superheroes in general. I thought they never really were very intriguing to me. I thought they were kind of lame, honestly. So I've never been into any of their movies, mostly because all the movies that have been made weren't that good.
Yeah. Back to Tommy real quick.
The 1994 Fantastic Four movie was great.
Yeah. What in just the comic book world? How are the Fantastic Four viewed? Are they viewed because we have the Tim Story Fantastic Four and its sequel, The Silver Surfer. They kind of came off as a bit bland. So is that the same issue in the comics, or
not necessarily? I mean, in the comic books themselves, they are revered as these are the people that kind of started the super team.
Okay.
Because they were kind of established before the Avengers.
They were pre-X-Men also.
Yeah,
they were one of the first superhero teams.
Yeah, they were. And so they're revered in the comic book world, anyone that reads comics.
All right. Well, Isaac's about to run out the door, so we're just going to say adios to him. He has to go work on Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah.
So we're sorry.
It's okay.
We'll keep you. We'll give you score updates and stuff. So
all right.
Have fun making all the money. So
I will be making some money.
Yes.
Go Seahawks.
Is it?
I am also
Yay,
pulling
Patriots.
for the Seahawks.
Isaac is pulling for the Seahawks. We have his vote in. So
Yay, Patriots.
Honestly, for the trailer, I'm surprised the trailer didn't end with right under the title Fantastic Four. Can't possibly be as bad as Silver Surfer.
I mean, in the comic book world, people that hang out in comic book stores, people like me and people that I know, Fantastic Four hasn't been one of the best-selling books for a long time.
Yeah.
Fantastic Four got canceled after I want to say issue 600 or something like that. Because it wasn't selling well, and some of the storylines just aren't holding up, and it is kind of becoming a dated thing just because the characters don't stand on their own. It is this family thing that they are, Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Woman, The Thing, and Human Torch. They are very much a family, and they don't hold up on their own, pretty much, except for the Human Torch, which is the only one that actually has deep character outside of the family. Like you could say the Thing, he's got a lot of character. He's a great character, but take him away from Mr. Fantastic and Human Torch, and I would not see his book selling on his own.
Mm-hmm. But that's one of the things that's interesting about the Fantastic Four, and what makes them kind of unique is that they are a family in a sense. I mean, you can make that argument for maybe the X-Men in a sense, but the fact that at least 2 or 3 of them are somewhat connected by marriage or by just being related to one another makes this whole theme of family something that it differentiates them from other superhero stories. But I kind of get what you're saying. It's one of those situations where how do you make Superman appealing in modern times? Like how do you make a group appealing that was probably back in like the 50s? Is that what you said, or 40s?
Early 60s.
60s. Okay. Corey, what are your thoughts?
Okay, tying this into the whole Ghostbusters thing, as I said here,
reboots everywhere.
Yeah, reboots and the whole Ghostbusters thing. We're sitting here and we're talking, and we're and the consensus is. Not huge fans of it, but we got to see a trailer, and I'm that way because I was the biggest naysayer of Fantastic Four when the casting came out. I was like, these kids are like 17, and this is stupid, and somehow Sue Storm and Johnny Storm are different races, but they're brother and sister, and I'm sure we could throw that in somewhere, but again, it just kind of seemed like shock value casting, rather like, ooh, let's just try and get a bump in some media because we casted a black Johnny Storm. Yeah, I hated it. I've said this is going to be, but the trailer has kind of changed my perspective.
How so?
I like that it's a little bbit darker because it looks more like Marvel's doing it. Actually, it doesn't look like a Sony or Fox movie. It looks like Marvel's making this. Okay. To me. Like, it looks like they're trying to at least fit in with what Marvel's doing over there in their own world of Marvel stuff. It looked like the casting actually was going to work to a degree. I watched the preview a bunch of times. There's kind of a lot of things in it. I think it shows what I believe is going to be Johnny and Sue's dad, black guy. So they've... I guess probably just white mom, or somehow there's
still an adoption thing,
or it could be an adoption thing.
Yeah.
Sue might be adopted. So that was cool. And that kind of, I was like, I felt better about that.
It could be a non-traditional family where they were both single parents with their own kids.
Yeah, it totally could be. Like I was like, I kind of like that route. I kind of like that. Like their dad's black as well, because just for some reason my mind went straight to Johnny's either going to be an adopted poor black kid. Or something like that. I was like, no, okay, I like that the family's black and maybe the white girl's like out, or something like that. I was like, okay, maybe we threw the white girl out and she's the oddball. So I liked that. I say this every time we talk about this. I think comic book movies, superhero movies, are only as strong as their villain. And freaking the little we know about Dr. Doom in that preview. I'm all on it, and that's because that last guy, McMahon or something,
the guy from Nip Tuck,
Julian something, hated it.
Yeah,
hated it. Thought it was just they just trashed the Victor Von Doom character so much. For some reason, he's shoot lightning out of his hands or something. I hated it, but you see Victor and you hear Victor talk in the preview. Sounds like Victor Von Doom for one.
What point is he talking?
At the very end.
Okay.
It looks like Miles Teller's character, the Mr. Fantastic. What's his name? Mr. Fantastic is talking to Dr. Doom, and he's on the table, gotcha. and he talks, and it's great.
Reed Richards is his name.
Reed Richards, yeah, that's what I was looking for. And then there's a scene where you actually, I think it's Dr. Doom walking towards a bunch, like probably out of the hospital, because you kind of see like his head's metal.
Okay.
And it looks like he maybe has like the green tunic on. It looks like they're doing classic Victor Von Doom. Mm-hmm. At one point it shows Sue Storm. She's looking at a map, and Latveria is actually highlighted on this map. So that, Victor Von Doom's like home country is actually going to be in this. So I'm actually stoked on this just because it looks like they're going to get the Doom side correct and done well. So I'm all about that. And it looks like I guess they're going the ultimate route because they're kids. It looks like they strap themselves into a Super Hadron Collider rather than going to space. So I'm all for it. I think that I'm like everyone else. I'm not like a huge Fantastic Four mark or anything like that. But I think that helps me in this case because I'm not as like tied down to it. I'm not.
Yeah.
And Miles is Teller. He's made every movie under the sun. Last year, he's become like the tiny white Samuel L. Jackson of 2014. Every time a movie came out, somehow he looked like he was in it. Michael B. Jordan he's done well. Fruitvale Station. I know he like got a lot of critical acclaim for. The Sue Storm and Ben Grimm both look good in terms of I haven't seen much of their movie other than you say she was in Shooter. I haven't seen that in a few years.
The one thing you kind of said that it leaned more towards Marvel. My initial thoughts would it lean more towards the X-Men movies because the X-Men, in the sense that it was more serious, I guess, because X-Men is the movie version with Bryan Singer in particular. They're treated a little bit more with a serious tone, not so much a dark tone, but serious. And I do think it's darker than probably the X-Men movies we've seen up to this date, but that's just my thoughts were initial. I didn't quite put it in the Marvel world because Marvel.
There's rumblings that they're connected now. That they're going to connect the Fantastic Four and the X-Men universes. Like it almost looks like there's going to be a Marvel like Phase 4.5 going on somewhere over in this other like area. Like, they're like, okay, well, we're just going to make our own universe of what we own.
Kind of like what we talked about last week.
Didn't they have crossovers more than once?
Oh, plenty of times.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, like in the comic books, like every other month there's like a huge crossover event. So, I mean, if you want to get into comics, good luck.
Yeah, but the Fantastic Four and X-Men are often tied together a lot, aren't they?
They meet sometimes.
Sometimes. Okay. I mean, it's more like...
Especially when zombies are involved.
More or less like Fantastic Four and Spider-Man and Spider-Man and X-Men. So, like, they're...
Okay, they're the ones that are a little more... Okay.
If this movie knows what it's doing, the very ending, they open up that extra dimension where all the zombies come in. And they just go down that route.
If they do that, I am 100% behind this.
The Marvel zombies.
Yeah, we're going to do the Marvel zombie movies. Because, honestly... That's really a heavy X-Men and heavy Fantastic Four, and like mostly B team stuff, like in the Marvel comics. Like there's Spider-Man's in it, but a lot of the stuff that like Fox owns, they could do Marvel zombies with, and not necessarily need Iron Man and stuff like that. Because I mean, it's all.
And who has the rights to Ash?
Yeah, Army of Darkness, Marvel Zombies crossover does exist.
I don't think it's New Line. If New Line did, we'd already have like the Nightmare Friday crossover with them.
That would have been amazing.
Yeah. They did it in comics instead. Actually, they might. New Line might own Ash. I'm not sure.
Okay. Taryn, what are your thoughts?
I know everyone said, like, oh, I saw, like, this sort of franchise with it. I saw DC a lot with this fantastic... Because it seemed to be not necessarily Nolan-based, but what Nolan did with Batman of grounding it in reality, this seemed to be a less fantastical Fantastic Four, where they weren't going to space. They were going in some sort of, like, particle chamber or something. So I guess I just want a little bit more explanation on that. Like, I'm not necessarily opposed to it.
It did a really good job of showing us, but not really saying anything.
Yeah. Like, I know enough is going to be different. I just want to know just the tiniest bit more just to be like, okay, I can process this now.
Yeah.
I think my biggest problem with the trailer is sort of the fact that they're so young, but also, like, kind of going off, like, on a tangent off that. I can get why Reed Richards and Sue Storm are involved with whatever project this is, because they've always been the eggheads of the group. Mm-hmm. Did they somehow, like, work with whatever military or extra, like, governmental contract that they had? Like, oh, hey, we have these two guys. One of them's, you know, Sue's brother, and the other one's just, like, a friend. Can they come along?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how that works into all this. Like, were they just like, okay, well, these eggheads worked on it, and they're young, so they should jump back.
What is the original story? How are they even involved? Because in the origin of the original comic, they go to space, correct?
Mm-hmm.
How are
something to do with another dimension and strapping themselves into a super hadron collider?
And so how like he said, how are Ben Grimm and Johnny Storm involved if they're not scientists?
Ben and Reed have been friends for a long time, and I think
Which we see that in the trailer. We see young ones.
Yeah, I think Ben was the pilot because like Reed couldn't fly the whatever it was, and as for Johnny, I think he was a pilot as well. Or
so maybe some type of military background helped them.
I think the first Fantastic Four movie that Fox came out with like a decade ago, I think that was pretty darn close as in terms of how they actually got their abilities.
I mean, I'm like Corey. I didn't care for the casting of who they got to play Doom in that. But overall, I actually enjoyed the first Fantastic Four movie because it got the essence of the characters right. And it, the casting of the characters was right. Like, I mean, we can look at Chris Evans, and like people see, Captain America still with him. I see that's Johnny Storm.
Yeah,
because he was great for Johnny Storm. Yeah. And Ione Grufford as Reed Richards was good, and Jessica Biel and
he was a good
Michael Chiklis.
It's Alba.
Alba. You said Biel.
Jessica Alba. Whatever. I always get their names confused.
Yeah.
But Michael Chiklis as Ben Grimm. His casting was great on all of them.
I think the big issue with the one from last decade was that it came at a very weird time in superhero movies.
Yeah, it hadn't hit. The resurgence didn't hit yet.
It was in between like Batman and Robin and Batman Begins. It's funny how Batman kind of helped bookends and starts things because there was Spider-Man in the middle of all of that, and also the X-Men.
Well, yeah, Spider-Man and X-Men kind of started the resurgence, but it wasn't until 2008 that it just freaking
took off again.
Yeah, you're also forgetting Blade.
Well, and Batman Begins in 2006 blew it up.
Yeah, X-Men and Blade were definitely the ones. And the thing about Blade was that it wasn't as well known, I guess, because it's a bit more...
and it was rated R out the butt. They didn't even try and go the superhero
But it definitely helped kind of like, okay, we can take these comic book movies and treat them seriously and actually put some script and story and character development into this stuff.
Do justice to the character.
Right. This isn't just kids. We can appeal to the kids, but make it an actual engrossing story that's going on.
That's my biggest issue with them using the Ultimate Universe. Okay. You have to get the essence of the character right. Yeah. And whenever you have these younger kids, as the characters, like even in the comics, you're going to lose something that made the character in the original who they were. And that's why I can't get behind this until I get more and more information. Then I might change my opinion. But as of right now, I say no to this movie.
Could it be because this franchise was never as big or popular as, say, Spider-Man, X-Men, any of those things, that they feel like maybe they could take some leeway with the characters, like who and how they are?
I don't know. Most of Marvel's main characters in Phase 1 weren't the highlight reel. I mean, Iron Man was sort of a Tier 2 character, same as Thor. Captain America, I can't really remember anything pre the movies that made me really just, want to go all in on a Captain America
movie. The dude
movie.
punched Hitler in the face. You, sir, are un-American.
Here's the thing. Like, a lot of these comics were made 50s, 60s and stuff like that, and like Fantastic Four was one of the most over comics back then. They were huge. It was a huge comic book, but that's a dated one. That's a hard one. That was a hard one to evolve.
That's why I'm saying that might be why they might take.
And I think that's why they're going Ultimate route. Is it's easier to it's an attempt to not use a dated thing, and I think that was a huge reason Fantastic Four, the reboots from early 2000s. Didn't perform and hold as well as X-Men and things like that have in Spider-Man is because it's just a dated concept of this team of scientists going up, gamma radiation. I think it's the same reason you don't have a good Hulk movie. Hulk's a hard thing to just, it's not dated. It's just some dude, radiation poison turns into a big green monster. It's a hard thing. Whereas X-Men and Batman and all these things, Superman, so dated. It's hard to make Superman a relevant, fun thing in this day and age. It's just, you have some superheroes you can evolve, you can dress them up, and you can make them gritty and things like that, and others you struggle with. So I think this is just an attempt to make Fantastic for 2015. It's just, we're going to go the ultimate route, we're going to use young guys. For the love of everything holy, we're going to make Von Doom. Yeah. So...
My thoughts when I watched it was I was very surprised by it. It actually did draw me in a bit, and me and Corey had discussed it, and it had a bit of it was either me and you or me and Taryn. It had very much of a Interstellar kind of feel to it.
Okay.
and it was interesting. I
and
think because we had talked about how because in Interstellar they very much try to stay as much with real science as they can, until that third act, which I won't dive into for spoiler reasons. But from what we've seen, other than the fact that they turn into superheroes, I mean, what we've seen in the trailer, the little bits, is all seems to be grounded in some sort of
scientific reality.
Yes, and so and the fantastical parts will be when they become
the what?
The fantastical parts.
Oh, yeah!
Well,
I said it like 20 minutes ago.
You did.
Taryn
I wasn't paying attention to what
we were all checking our phone when Taryn was talking.
You have the Dark Knight changed cinema.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, it changed cinema. That's what the Dark Knight will always be known for. Everything post 2008 got darker and stuff like that. But that doesn't work. But only for a handful of superheroes. I think Dark Knight. All those movies should always be dark. They should never go back to the Schumacher world. They shouldn't go back to the bright Adam West campy thing like that. Punisher, you can make gritty and dark. Ghost Rider could probably be a great gritty dark movie if they ever wanted to give another shot. Sans Cage. And Blade. I had no problem with Cage. It was a bad movie.
Oh yeah,
Cage
absolutely.
was good. Blade. There are certain heroes. By all means, you can do the dark gritty things. We saw with Man of Steel, that's hard to do. Superman is to make him a dark. I mean, it was the first time we ever saw some sides of Superman finally get explored, like just the pressures of being Superman, which they need to build on. Because it's such a crazy thing. Batman's always said, thank God Superman doesn't understand what he is, or we'd all be dead, type thing. And that's the side they need to concentrate on. Fantastic Four, that's going to be the big risk here. Is it does look like they're going to try and make it ultra real, and that may not work. Because it's the beauty of a lot of these things though is even with Dark Knight and stuff like that, there's still comic book elements that you have to he's running around, doing his. There's still goofy enough elements that are in the comic book world.
You have to get the essence of the character.
Yeah. That has to exist in Fantastic Four. Part of that is going to be it's sci-fi-ish. It's definitely got a lot that you have to suspend your disbelief on. So if they try to ground it too much in reality, I think it'll hurt real bad.
So just kind of quickly going back around the table, is the reaction, and after we've kind of had this debate, the interest is more so okay. For me and Corey especially, it's like okay, I'm a little more interested. But I want to see more.
Yeah.
Because we were all bait and switched with the Superman story, or the Man of Steel, because the trailer said...
the trailers were fantastic.
The trailer
films.
said this trailer it presented it as one film. The film was completely different.
I think Nolan directed the trailers.
I think that might have been part of the shock that we went into the movie with, that it was so different. But you guys, you're not as excited, Tommy... Taryn, or
I think I'm maybe a little bit more excited for it.
Yeah,
I'm just I need that little bit more. I need to see sort of where this is going to go because I think you're right on the Man of Steel trailer analogy because even though I like Man of Steel, I'll give you that trailer sold a completely different film that I still would have loved to see.
Yeah,
Tommy, that is absolutely true.
The trailer has not sold me at all. It hasn't even piqued my interest.
Yeah.
If they pull it off, that's great. We'll have another great superhero team to, look forward to. But I'm not interested in seeing another superhero team just for the sake of another superhero team.
Yeah.
Because we have the X-Men, we have the Avengers, we have, now we have the Fantastic Four. It's like, make the characters interesting in their own right in order for me to care. Because if they're going to rely too heavily on the group dynamic, I'm not going to care about it. And that's where I think, X-Men, the one that no longer counts as canon, really messed up because it introduced all of these characters, like, boom, new character, boom, new character, boom, new character. Like, we had Juggernaut, we had Angel, we had,
Kitty Pryde was introduced in that one too. Was she?
Yeah. Well, she was
cameo.
slightly in the second
she was
one,
in cameo
and as a different actress.
Yeah.
But but it was relying too heavily on their group dynamic and not giving you enough character.
Yeah.
And that's like with the X-Men movies. I mean, of course, Wolverine and being in every single one of them, we know his character, and he's got the character down, and you care about this character. You care about Charles Xavier. You care about
Magneto.
You care about them because their characters are interesting.
Yeah.
But if you don't care about who this individual is, why are you going to care about the group as a whole?
Okay. Rowdy?
I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm just tired of seeing origin stories redone. When it's unnecessary, we get the gist of. I mean, I guess it's a reboot, and that's why. Like my big gripe with the Spider-Man reboot is, no, we get it. He got bit by a spider. Why are we going back through this?
Uncle Ben died again.
We understand. Okay, Superman. Yeah, he landed on an asteroid. Are we really going back through this? We get it.
I think, yeah, because we had kind of discussed this last week that, there are some superheroes, Superman, Batman, Spider-Man. We know the story. You do not have to. Yeah. You do not have to retell that. But and even Fantastic Four to an extent, and especially now that we've already seen film iterations of these characters,
it's like
you just need to hit the ground running and just assume that we know. I have a question that's interesting. As we've been talking about this, we talk about trailers a lot, and what we see, what we don't see, and a lot of it sells us on whether we'll watch that movie or not. Back in the day, a teaser was the trailer. You didn't get a lot of it, and it's sort of now slowly become where some movie trailers, like, you don't have to go watch the movie. You already know what's going to happen. You already know everything, and a lot of that might come down to movie cliches being used over and over again, trailer cliches and structure and stuff. But what are your thoughts on just, do you want, especially with movies that are franchises that we all hold very dear to our hearts, and we're betting on those trailers to tell us whether or not we want to watch it. And a trailer like Man of Steel could sell us and then be very divisive if all we did was just watch that first initial trailer. And if we watch a trailer like Fantastic Four that doesn't really tell us a lot, it just kind of sets the tone of the movie, it shows us the lineup of the cast, and that's pretty much it. And, if you, and the thing about it is they will release another trailer about, 3 months before the movie comes out, giving us more story development, we'll probably see more of Victor Von Doom and stuff. And my question is, if all we saw was the teaser for Star Wars Episode 7 that we saw, if all we saw was the Fantastic Four trailer that we saw, things that didn't elaborate fully, do you think, and a lot of it comes down to marketing nowadays, they can do more, they want to overwhelm you with information, so all you're thinking about is this movie. But it seems like this problem with modern movies is that they almost overtell you things.
Yeah.
Do you guys prefer where it's like, okay, keep me in the dark as much as possible, I want to go in fresh, I don't want to be told what is going to happen, or are you more like, yeah, give me the scenario, give me the story, so I know what to expect when walking in?
Well, I know in my experience, sometimes I do prefer going in just not knowing anything. Like a couple years ago, when the first Hobbit movie came out, I didn't watch a single trailer. Like, I had heard about it, like, oh, the trailer's been released, people were talking about it. I would not listen to anything anyone would say. I wouldn't read up on it, because I wanted to experience it on my own, because I knew, oh, okay, like, this is going to be a fantastical journey. It's going to be rather unexpected.
You really reached for that one, so I'm not.
But I didn't watch any of the trailers, and like with other movies, if I happen to catch like a teaser or something, and if that is enough to pique my interest, then I will gamble. I'll watch it. It's not about seeing more and more footage of the film, because like, what was it, 22 Jump Street? There was like 10 trailers of that.
Yeah.
And, I didn't want to watch all 10 of the trailers because, because of trailer tropes, of them using all of the best stuff to really rope you in.
Yeah.
Like, once I get the idea, okay, this is going to happen, yeah, okay, sure, why not?
Because you get that with, like what was it, Million Ways to Die in the West. We got all the good jokes in the trailer, rest of the movie was subpar.
There were no.
Although I think those of us that were in the car for the drive back on 22 Jump Street, we all agreed that they used their B-team jokes for their trailers rather than the A.
Yeah.
There were no good jokes in that movie.
So, like, with the new Avengers movie coming out, I already know the setup. I know what the characters are. I still haven't watched the newest trailer that came out, and that was, like, last month. You know,
I think they just put the same scenes in different order.
Yeah. So it's like
more of the Hulkbuster armor.
Yeah.
So
pretty much.
I don't rely on trailers to give me my movie information, but I do want there to be more information available if I'm not sold, so that way I can say, all right, the trailer didn't sell me, but what else is there to maybe get me interested?
Yeah, because I think in modern audiences, we want. Movies cost so much to go to anyway, and we want to know, is it worth me driving here and paying almost $10 for a ticket, $10 more for food if we're lucky, and sitting through this
for 2 hours of basically you're playing Russian roulette every time you see a movie.
Because I think just we as a group, this group Take 5, we're very selective on that. I think that we are not as willing to jump into a movie. As a group, especially, I mean, individually, we might have interest in other things and go, I'm going to go watch this by myself because I know the other guys don't want to watch it. But, I feel that we're poor Taryn and his film selections, and so
it's so lonely.
What about my film selections? Nobody wanted to go see The November Man.
but I think it does depend, and a lot of it oftentimes is the franchises. You know, we want to know, okay, what's the story? Okay, what is the direction, the tone, the actors that are being... I mean, we are constantly looking for information concerning it. And then sometimes, it's like we get to the point where we're oversaturated by that. Like you're like The Hobbit. I don't want to know anything. I just want to walk in. I want to watch it. I don't want to read the books. I don't want to hear about the rumors about who's dying and who's going to be resurrected and stuff.
To be fair, I did read the book.
But okay, but even if you had read the book, you're like, okay, I don't want to know what they're changing, I don't want what they're adding, I don't want to know what they're pulling from the Silmarillion, however you say that.
Silmarillion.
Thank you. And then things like that. So I think because of franchises, we have a tendency to want more information to make sure that they're not screwing up our franchises with quotes there. But
I think a lot of that is the instant gratification culture we live in. We want it, and we want it now, damn it. It's just, we want trailers. The whole purpose of a teaser and a trailer is to pique your interest, leave you with like unanswered questions, something you need to see the movie to see. I think the Star Wars 7 trailer was very successful at that. It left you like, oh, well, here's the obvious bad guy, but what's he doing? Why is he off by himself in the wilderness?
Why does he have a stupid...
crossguard?
Crossguard.
Crossguard is functional, okay? It's cool. I'll say it. It's cool.
I hate it.
It's awesome. Alex,
we'll have a Star Wars lightsaber debate in another episode.
Unless in the movie they cover that it's because there's a really big hand chopping off factor happening. That's why it was implemented. I'm
there
not
is.
down.
There's a... Hands get cut off in Star Wars all the
That's
time.
what I'm saying. I want that reference in dialogue.
Why is there...
I want someone to go, oh, you got one of the new ones. Like, yeah.
It's like, no
one's chopping my hand off.
Nearly every character that wields a lightsaber in Star Wars.
Like, Luke better have designed it. That better be his design.
Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon were the only people that didn't lose limbs at some point in the Star Wars franchise.
So I'm just saying, unless it's like the opening scene is... Luke tinkering at his table and go, look what I made.
You're like,
wizard.
Batman Begins, you're like, it wasn't just the origin of his parents got shot. You're like, he's opening a closet and you see the cowl and like a rough shot of the armor. It's like, oh, okay. It's just supposed to pique your interest, and now it's like we really want the whole movie in a summary, a 2-minute summary. In order to know, I think it's mainly because we're just lazy. Honestly,
impatient.
Impatient and lazy. You got. I'm trying to think of. There's one trailer I actually saw a while back that I thought that's the whole movie, and I went and watched the movie. And I can't remember which. Probably because it's so forgetful now, because the whole movie was in the trailer.
Yeah. There was one trailer that came out just here recently that as soon as I saw it, I was like, no, that's the whole movie. They gave away the ending in the whole movie, and that's Ted 2.
Yeah.
It's like those old 90s narrations
Overruled,
where
like that's the end of the movie.
The whole Rob Schneider is just an everyday janitor, but he's about to learn the value of blah 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 blah, and you're like, well, thanks, I appreciate that.
Here's my take on trailers and stuff like that. They're necessary. My personal preference is if every movie stopped at a teaser, I'd be fine. I like teaser trailers. Teaser trailers are my favorite. I don't know that we've had a podcast we didn't bring up Cloverfield. Cloverfield might be the greatest movie ever made.
Which I finally got Tommy into the viral campaign.
Yes, you did.
Well, Cloverfield. I remember I don't remember what movie it was, but I remember vividly sitting in a movie theater. And the 15-second thing is just these people at a party, an explosion, and then the Statue of Liberty's head comes flying into the street. Yeah. No title, nothing. I think there might have been a date.
Yeah, it was.
And that was it.
Yeah, that was one of the best viral campaigns and teaser trailers
No production
of all
names,
time.
no nothing. Not directed by no actors. It was just that, and I was like, I don't know what this is, but I'm seeing it.
Another teaser.
I'm watching this.
Another teaser where they showed you nothing, yet it worked for me. I was sold. I'd have to watch another trailer after that. Was the original teaser for The Dark Knight?
Yes,
it's all black, and you just hear people talking. You hear
and then you
Bruce
hear the
Wayne
Joker's...
talk, and then you hear the very end. I'm a man of my word.
Yeah,
and the laugh, and I'm like, oh god, because before that point, up to that point, I was very skeptical of Heath Ledger.
Right?
I was like, I really don't know.
I was one of the few people that was on board right away.
I saw him I just seen him do these pretty boy roles, Knight's Tale, and
I went and popped in 10 Things I Hate About You, and paused it on smiling, and I was like, holy crap, this is perfect.
But he started to venture off into more serious things right before that too, like Brokeback Mountain.
Yeah.
But I just wasn't sold. But then I heard that voice and the laugh. I didn't even have to see him in makeup. I didn't have to see anything.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, he got that.
Yeah.
I'm sold. I need to see this movie.
It was
Not a single image
teaser.
Was shown except the symbol.
Yeah.
The symbol.
And in that teaser, they captured the whole theme of the movie, which was chaos. Because you just have Alfred saying, some men want to watch the world burn. And then you just hear the Joker for the first time, and you're like, that's it. Like, I'm done. I went to go watch I Am Legend just for that. Like, I could have walked out of the movie after that, been fine.
You would have been better off.
I would have been fine. Like, I remember seeing and buying a ticket just because I knew the Dark Knight teaser thing was coming up. I was like, all right. And honestly, if you look at it, like, obviously they had a huge campaign post that teaser where they did lots of previews and they showed lots of the Joker and stuff like that. I honestly think it would have been a bigger impact if we gone into it, and that's all we had was the teaser. And we got to see Heath Ledger for the first time in the movie.
It was a long time before you actually did see him.
Yeah, they did a lot.
While the posters were just like
blurry
graffiti.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The one that's like, it looks like he's behind like a shower door. Almost. It's all blurry. It says, why so serious?
Yeah.
You just really like this mysterious...
Well, they did a viral campaign on the
internet.
Like
for a horror movie
where there was like ransom notes.
And you had to go to IBelieveInHarvey.com, and finally enough people did it, and it revealed the Joker's face. I mean, it's just there was no hair, nothing. It was just the face, and it looked
it was
creepy. And you're like, okay, all right, let's do this. But no, I'm a fan of teasers, and I like the teaser. If I don't see another Star Wars preview, I'll still go see it. Because I think for me,
you could see 20 more Star Wars previews, and you're still going to go.
I don't know. For me, I feel like the teaser always does more because it piques my interest. And then there are movies I haven't seen because the previews got too detailed, and I was like, never mind, this looks stupid.
Yeah. I'm with you. I could stop at teasers, but honestly, if Star Wars keeps shoveling out trailers, I'm going to keep watching them. Yeah. Because I'm like, well, they're going to show me more. I might as well watch more.
So, and that's another thing. In modern times, we also have the digital internet age, where we don't just go watch trailers at movies anymore. We watch them on our computers when Facebook blows up because the newest Avengers Age of Ultron trailers come out, or the newest Star Wars, or a clip of this and a clip of that. We have more access to photos on set. We have more access to the rumors concerning things. I mean,
interviews aren't coming out on TV Guide, and that's how our only info is coming out.
And so I feel like there's almost a sense of the loss of going to the movies just for the sake of watching a trailer,
Well, I get mad if I'm late to a movie because I really, really like the trailers.
Yeah.
I get super mad. Like, if someone says the words, "Don't worry, there's previews," I almost hit them.
But
I know, and that's what I'm trying to watch.
But the thing about that is, oftentimes, especially movies that we've all gone to see as a group, you see a lot of those trailers already on YouTube and on all the websites.
You see them, like, some of them are just, like, for a year. Just for a year, it's the same trailer.
Right.
It's kind of a coincidence because today we're going to get some new trailers today because it's Super Bowl Sunday. So I'm kind of interested.
I think Jurassic World has a new one coming out.
And the thing about that is that, you know, it used to be watch the Super Bowl.
Why we watch the Super Bowl and take 5?
But why watch the Super Bowl? Because they're already putting them out. They're already releasing them.
They've been out for like a week.
Yeah.
Some of them have.
Oh yeah.
Well, like, I don't get that deep. Like, if I get on the internet and look for it's pro wrestling information. I don't search out movie like previews.
Watch Corey's wrestling podcast or listen to it. So.
The podcast of 1004 holds also.
I'll put an annotation or something.
But but trailers are weird too because I can think of 2 examples right now going on. Project Almanac they're shoving that movie down my throat.
Right.
Flopped. American Sniper, they're shoving that movie down my throat. It keeps they're printing off money just to go watch it, you know, like they're having to print out money so people can just go watch this movie apparently. So trailers are just weird. His Project Almanac, it looks interesting. I mean, it looks like it's been done before, but so is American Sniper.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like any other war movie I've seen based on real things. It's cool. It'll be inspiring, and Project Almanac will be like fun and weird, but like trailers are weird. Some people, they're meant to pique your interest, and some make you go out the door. Some just say, and I don't know. As far as I can tell, Project Almanac might have gotten people to go to the theaters, and they just saw, American Sniper's playing.
Yeah. I think it really just comes down to they have to find the balance. They have to understand their film and go, okay, what do we know what they've got in stock and in their weapons essentially, and say, okay, we can use this, but we don't want to use all of our weapons. If you're 22 Jump Street, we can use some little artillery and then come in with the heavy stuff later. Yeah. If we're A Million Ways to Die in the West, we're going to use the freaking nukes, and then that's all we've got, and we're done.
I would not have been surprised if for A Million Ways to Die in the West, they filmed things they knew weren't going to be in the movie to put in the trailer to get people to come.
Well, that's the thing. Like, that's a weird trend that happened in the last few years. Is trailers featuring things that
don't end up in the final cut.
One of the Paranormal Activity movies almost got sued over that because the entire trailers did not appear in the film.
Yeah.
You got there and you're like, none of this is in the preview.
False advertisement.
Like a lot of people are saying, like, good movie, but the previews had stuff I wanted. So, I mean...
But, you know, it's been an interesting conversation. If anybody doesn't have any final comments, I was going to move on real quick to one last topic before we head out. And that is, since we're kind of the theme of this episode is reboots, the rumor of Disney wanting to continue the Indiana Jones franchise with Chris Pratt.
Okay.
What are our thoughts? Taryn?
I'm not opposed to it. I do think... I'm gonna hate myself for making this analogy, but Indiana Jones is kind of like a holy grail of films.
I don't get it.
But the Holy Grail's the crappy one.
Yeah, it's Stop.
No, I'm just saying, in the movie, which of the Grail, he picks up the crappy wooden one.
Yeah.
So, shame on you. You called it crappy.
It's a trilogy of films that I kind of have to go back to my Ghostbusters decision of, it's just one of those things like, why are we messing with this? I know from a company viewpoint, it prints off money. It gets people talking. It gets people wanting to go to a movie to see if it's going to flop.
It's an established franchise, and they know that they can pull people in to watch it and then get the young kids.
This probably wouldn't even happen if Crystal Skull didn't happen.
Yeah, but...
what are you talking about?
Right.
I don't know.
What is Crystal Skull?
What are those things?
I faintly remember them working on Indiana Jones 4, The Kingdom of Broken Dreams.
You guys had the same nightmare that I did?
So in this one, we open, Chris Pratt wakes up and says, I had a bad dream, there were aliens, I had a son, and I was really old.
But what?
Okay. That part.
But aside from the idea of the reboot itself, right now it's just in casting and idea phase. Chris Pratt.
I don't think Chris Pratt would make a bad Indiana Jones. I know that you're really gunning for somebody else, Nick. Yeah. You're really gunning for them.
Yes.
I think with Chris Pratt, I don't necessarily want to see him showcased in every single sort of action film because he was in Guardians.
Right.
He's going to be in Jurassic World.
He's about to become kind of like Benedict Cumberbatch, where he was oversaturated. And again, you can't make one guy the face of like 5 franchises.
Exactly. That's
Why,
exactly
you mean like
it.
Harrison Ford?
Well.
No, it's pronounced Tushaya.
And dirty. Having Rowdy here paid off.
I'm curious though, who's Nick gunning for in this?
Bradley Cooper.
And here's my reason why.
No, he's oversaturated now, man. He's the Oscar guy.
But let me, if not Bradley Cooper, let me explain why I would choose Bradley Cooper before he got huge. Was because while Chris Pratt everybody enjoys him, he isn't of the same build as a Harrison Ford was. Harrison Ford was more serious, more action-oriented. Mm-hmm. Chris Pratt comes from a comedy side of things. And while, yes, Indiana Jones has humor in it, plenty, it's not the kind of humor that Chris Pratt does. Chris Pratt will name off a pop culture reference or something like that, whereas Indiana Jones, the character's humor comes from situational comedy. You know, when we saw in the first Raiders of the Lost Ark, the swordsman comes out and he just pulls out the gun and shoots him because he's like, why even waste my time with this? We all know the backstory behind that. He was actually sick, but within that was built this humorous moment there, and it was just you just die laughing watching it. Yeah. And then within that we saw it happen again where he pulled out the gun and he had no bullets, so he was just like, oh crap. Or actually he didn't have the gun. That was it. But that's what I'm talking about. It's a difference in the style of acting and also how they're portrayed. Because when I look at Harrison Ford, he's very much this manly kind of man, and it's just he has a cool to him. Chris Pratt has a different kind of cool. It's like he's more the guy that you're going to sit around and make jokes with all the time. Harrison Ford's the guy you're like, I wish I could be him.
I think Jurassic World might end up being like sort of the audition reel for Chris Pratt being Indiana Jones.
Yeah. He seems really serious in the trailer.
Yeah.
You're talking about different styles.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Harrison Ford could pull off being in the hat and the whip and all that, but at the same time, he could pull off wearing glasses and a bow tie being a professor at a college.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I could see Bradley Cooper doing that now that I've thought about it. See him doing both.
Right.
Chris Pratt, it'd be hard to have him in a sweater and a bow tie.
Yeah, he would. It would be more humorous than.
Yeah.
And that's kind of my feelings on the casting. Is like what Rowdy said. It's because he is a doctor first. He's an archaeologist, not adventure.
Who falls into adventure.
Yeah, and I can't see Chris Pratt being an archaeologist. Mm-hmm. I could see him as comedy, silly adventure guy, but not this cool thing. But I do want to correct you on something, Nick.
Go ahead.
This isn't considered a reboot. This should be considered a continuation because the original character of Indiana Jones was viewed as other actors could take over the role.
And very much a James Bond kind of
James Bond kind of thing. So it's not a reboot.
Okay.
And I agree with your point, yes.
I've heard that it would be considered a fresh start for the character.
It's somewhat of a fresh start, yes, because they're going back to him being young again. But and the good thing about that is because the movies themselves are very much episodic. There's not a lot that's
so they're doing the same world, but they're probably going prequel.
And that's the benefit. And that's the same thing with James Bond movies.
Yeah, look at Bond. Like in Dr. No, Sean Connery looks very different than he did in Diamonds Are Forever. Mm-hmm. You can see he's physically aged. Well, pop in Roger Moore, same character, same world. Just we're not going to acknowledge the fact that he was much older.
Time has passed. Right?
Yeah,
and really, if you are trying to logic it out, you can just say. You can just look at the character rather than the actor and go, well, all these adventures just happened at different times and stuff. If you're really trying to do that, but
people will like chronologicize them and they'll say, well, okay, this adventure needs to take place after Temple of Doom, before Raiders, and all of that. So,
and I think just because of the ties to history, he's an archaeologist, and the Nazi and stuff like that. I think that they'll have to kind of do that and say, well, this is taking place between this and this, or this is taking place before that, just so that, because there will be people going, well, this was going on when he was doing that, and there's no way that Hitler could have been there when, but...
Yeah, you'll see them probably reference it, and we'll know where it's at if, like, there's a joke thrown in. With the Ark incident, then you'll know, okay, it happened after Raiders, but before Temple of Doom, maybe.
Yeah.
Because technically Temple of Doom is before Raiders. Yes. So see, even then they're jumping out.
Yeah, they're jumping around. Because it's done as just, it's an adventure. It's not a continuation, chapter 1, chapter 2.
Exactly.
Thing.
Although I just realized, either way, we're getting somebody from Guardians of the Galaxy to be Indiana Jones. We're either getting Rocket Raccoon or Star-Lord.
Yeah.
And again, really to me, even if they don't cast Bradley Cooper, it's just my hope that they understand the character, which is what we've, again... This is the whole theme of everything we've talked about today is do they get the character? Does the actor portray that character? And is it true to the original feel and story that we've seen before?
I mean, I think, I'm with you. Bradley Cooper would be a great Indiana Jones. But I'm to the point where as much as I actually like Bradley Cooper as an actor, I don't want to see him in this because I'm seeing him in everything right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just may be a product of I'm living in an American Sniper world right now, and I just need a break from him before I start wanting to see him in something.
Because outside of American Sniper and his voicing of Rocket Raccoon and Guardians, there isn't a big named thing that he's been a part of since
Silver Linings Playbooks.
Hangover,
or
he's been nominated for an Oscar 3 years in a row now. So I mean, he's a phenomenal actor with a lot of range. Obviously, if you can go from being in The Hangover to being nominated for Oscars 3 years in a row, I think I'm like at the same time as like where I am with Melissa McCarthy and Kristen Wiig. I'm all for seeing comedic actors move out of it, and I think Chris Pratt, if he got casted, I'm with you. I hope that they would say, hey, don't try to be
Star-Lord,
Chris Pratt in this. Don't try to be this funny, bumbling action star. Be serious. But at the same time, I think Fassbender would be a really good Indiana Jones. I think he's a little older, but I still think he'd be a great Indiana Jones.
I could see Fassbender being an Indiana Jones villain.
That's true.
Yeah.
You racist.
Like a Nazi archaeologist.
He looks German, so
I mean, I could see him also playing a Nazi
English?
Archaeologist rival.
He's English, but he looks.
Turns out he's actually from New Jersey.
So because he has a strong jawline, he must be.
And here, I'll do this because I know Nick's a mark for this guy, and he's kind of a mid card dude that's never really gotten a break into the main event of Hollywood. Carl Urban.
Yeah.
He would be a solid Indiana Jones. And it would be giving him his break, I think. I think Carl Urban would be a really solid...
Yeah, he'd be a solid
still waiting for him.
He's going to be a super serious dude, and I think he'd be really good.
Still waiting for his Judge Dredd sequel.
Yeah. I don't know if that'll happen.
No.
But
I will say this. What would put Bradley Cooper over Carl Urban for me is that Bradley Cooper somewhat looks a little bit like Harrison Ford.
That's true.
Yeah.
Carl Urban has a different face structure-wise and stuff.
Yeah.
And again, that's getting down
looks
to
a little bit like him too.
And it's getting down to like these silly
splitting hairs.
Yeah, splitting hairs and things. But
yeah,
I think that would be some people's arguments, like, oh, he doesn't even look like him or anything. But
and here's and just out of left field, and it's just because again, and this is maybe my theme of this whole show is I sometimes watch comedic actors and go, they have more than this.
Yeah.
And one guy really felt this way, and I actually hate his brand of humor, but I think if given a shot and directed well and said, do not be yourself, do not play your normal tropes, Jason Sudeikis. I think you could get Jason Sudeikis kind of buff, and if he played real, because I think he's actually, I've seen pieces of acting from him, and I'm like, you're a really good actor. Stop making a bunch of masturbation jokes and gestures in all your movies. I could see him be like having the hat and the whip, and that's way out of left field. It would require a lot of work, and it would be like
I think the jump
you would break the internet.
The jump from
we would all be complaining about.
Yeah, we would all be complaining about Jason Sudeikis.
The jump from Horrible Bosses to Indiana Jones would be greater than the jump from Jurassic World and Guardians to Indiana Jones for Chris Pratt, and I think that's also what you have to consider. You're like, will people sit there and go,
this is a believable choice?
Yes.
And I mean, in all of these movies, we all hope to be surprised with good films. I mean, like, I don't think we're rooting for any of these films to be bad.
We always want movies to succeed.
Because I think a lot of...
I want Batman vs. Superman to fail hard.
I do too.
I want that movie to fail. You lie. I want that to fail.
Because often fanboys have that thing. It's like, oh, it's not what we wanted, we hate it, get it out of here. look at things like Heath Ledger. You know,
I was all for that.
But the majority of people were not until they saw it and they're like, great job. Imagine if they listened to the fans and said, well, we gotta ditch this. Let's get who everybody expects.
WrestleMania 30 did?
Yeah. And
listen to the podcast or even 1004 Holds.
Or even Michael Keaton, original Batman. Everybody was like, you're putting a comedian.
At the time.
You're throwing, but back in the day, it was like you're putting a comedian.
You're putting Mr. Mom.
As Batman.
Yeah, people wrote all these letters to Warner Brothers. We will not.
I think
watch
he was
this
just
movie.
Beetlejuice. I think Beetlejuice just happened, and then he became Batman.
Watch
so
this
yeah,
movie
that's
if you keep
so
Michael Keaton.
Sudeikis, right? Like that proves it. Like Sudeikis, he's coming off just stupid films.
Mm-hmm. But yeah,
now he's gonna be the best Indiana ever. Were we like Harrison? Who?
Yeah.
Huh?
Just before we wrap up real quick, do either of y'all have any more thoughts on the Chris Pratt being Indiana Jones, or just on Indiana Jones the character?
I'm getting tired of Chris Pratt because he is being oversaturated with Guardians of the Galaxy, Jurassic World, Parks and Recreation, of course, which is on television. Oh, I love his character on Parks and Recreation. I even like Chris Pratt.
He's in danger of turning into Melissa McCarthy.
Yeah, he has this character about him. He's like, this is a Chris Pratt movie, or like I'm watching Chris Pratt. Even watching Guardians of the Galaxy, I never once thought, oh, this is a badass dude, because even if it was ripped, like he got into shape for the role, it was it's Chris Pratt. When I look at Harrison Ford, I don't say it's Harrison Ford. Yeah. Like, that's Han Solo. That's Indiana Jones. That's the President of the United States of America.
And they all have the same face.
Well, like you said, I think...
the same pointing finger.
I haven't seen anything about it or even know anything about Jurassic World, but like Taryn said, it looks like he's not being himself in this. And that's
much more
that's where
serious,
actors have to get, especially ones that come from comedy. Like, again, going by theme, eventually they have to be given some weird shot where they can, like, not be something they built for themselves.
Like Steve Carell in
Foxcatcher.
And it makes Steve Carell, every time he's in a movie that's not dark. Like funny, we kind of feel weird, but at the same time, it's refreshing.
The director of who was it? Directed Foxcatcher. He talked about Steve Carell. He says it's something he's realized with a lot of comedic actors. Because if you give them the chance, they have a much darker side to them than even a lot of dramatic actors do.
Yeah, just watch 1 Hour Photo and Insomnia. Robin Williams' two greatest roles.
Yeah,
rest in peace.
But to the Chris Pratt thing,
Bennett Miller's the director of Foxcatcher.
I could totally see Chris Pratt pulling it off. Mm-hmm. Even though Harrison Ford's character of Indiana Jones he's a serious guy that funny stuff kind of just happened to him.
Yeah.
I could see Chris Pratt doing that. I could just as easily see Bradley Cooper. And Corey made a compelling case for Jason Sudeikis, who I would have ever seen coming. I'm very optimistic.
I just see it.
I'm so hopeful. I'm so hopeful for the next Indiana Jones movie to just get that bad taste of that last atrocity that occurred out of America's mouth. We need it. We deserve a good Indiana Jones movie, and hopefully this will be it.
Rowdy's not wrong with that statement. We do deserve a good Indiana Jones.
We can't let the franchise end the way it did. Just like Christopher Nolan refused to let Joel Schumacher have the last say on a good Batman movie.
What? Armie Hammer.
Whatever happened to him?
Lone Ranger happened to him. Like Hollywood buried him for a great movie.
I bet he would do okay as an idiot. That's a good call. He was supposed to be originally Batman in the Justice League movie.
I can see it. Like, the opening shot is in a classroom, all the students studying, and then, boom, you hear glass shatter, and Stone Cold walks in with a whip in his hand.
I would watch it.
And speaking of the Batman v Superman movie, God, I can't help but be hopeful, but at the same time, it's like they keep coming out with new ideas. It doesn't seem like they're happening organically. It's kind of like the Ghostbusters thing. It was like, oh, we're just throwing this in there now. It's... and that's what's scaring me about it.
And that's why we're all hoping it fails.
Because David S. Goyer isn't really that great of a writer.
No. And I think that's why I want it to fail. I want people
to see David S. Goyer.
Well, it's just, I feel like Goyer got too much credit. I think Nolan didn't speak. I don't know. Nolan's just a classy guy, I guess. I've been like, this guy came up with one thing once, that we sort of ran with, so we got a story credit.
It's like Christopher Nolan wrote the story in the script, and David S. Goyer just went through and spell checked it, and he got
and then demanded a story credit, and Nolan's like, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Last one that touched it gets it.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Well, with that, we need to wrap up. We're a little over on time, but I just want to thank everybody for listening again. Hopefully, we'll catch you guys next week. Be sure to check out Corey's wrestling podcast, 1004 Holds.
The podcast of 1004 Holds. Yes.
I was abbreviating a little bit, but yes, please check out some more podcasts and stuff, and we will catch you guys next week. Enjoy the Super Bowl. I don't know. By the time you hear this, it'll be over. So,
and the Seahawks will have been 2 times.
Just so we can look at this retroactively, who's picking who here?
Seahawks.
Rowdy, you still have to listen to the podcast.
I will.
Yeah.
And, I want to start. Thank you all for having me here today. That was so much fun. And go Seahawks with later today.
Patriots all the way.
Gryffindor.
I'm just hoping for a good game at this point. We'll catch you guys later.